Hey guys, it's Tyler. We're going to be finishing up the Pathfinder 2nd Edition review by talking about the absolute disaster elephant in the room, which is balance. And I don't mean to say that Pathfinder 2nd Edition is imbalanced by any means. I mean to say that most of the worst games I've ever played are ones that are balanced. Let me describe that. We're not playing a competitive game. The GM always has the power, is always, by the nature of what a tabletop RPG is, an unbalanced figure. The arbiter of the world that can plop down whatever imbalanced encounter that they have at their disposal. So, the idea that Pathfinder 2nd Edition tries to solve in many ways by lowering the power level of the player characters so that you can't have you can still have a super high fantasy thing by tone, but by the actual numbers that they're putting out and by the rate of success that they're putting out, due to the aforementioned crit system. If you don't know how that works, go check that out. I won't describe the whole thing here. It's kind of misguided from the get-go, in my opinion. You, as a GM, always have the ability to throw an ever-increasing and increasing threat at the players. The players have to work within the mechanics of the game. They have to work with the explicit things that their character is allowed to do, and they have to work with what the GM allows them to do, right? By arbitration, regardless of what style of GMing you use, whether or not you're doing the mother may I, can I do this, can I do that, or if you're just attempting to do stuff in the more 3D style, or if you're co-creating. In any of these styles, the GM is always going to introduce monkey wrenches and complications into things. So the idea that we need to make the player characters worse, the idea that we need to make them less capable individually, it's misguided to me. And it creates some huge world implication problems. The book tells us, don't introduce encounters that are plus or minus more than 4 levels from the party level or the average party level. So if you've got a party of 4 level 7 adventurers, you should not introduce, they should never encounter a level 12 adult dragon. There's 2 huge problems with this that you should see off the bat. One, well, that adult dragon's been in the world for hundreds of years, and it's just impossible for them to encounter it, or they have to go out of their way to encounter it. Well, okay, so I'm kind of handicapping myself as a DM by just saying, that dragon will never show up. 2, the most compelling parts of a lot of fiction are, and of gaming, video games, are the underdog story. Fighting the thing that was near impossible to defeat, that was really difficult, that you weren't supposed to do it that way, you were supposed to go this way, but you can do it. Defeating the Asylum Demon in Dark Souls 1. And, of course, there's no dexterity that we can use here. We are bound to luck for a lot of it, but for a lot of the rest of it, we're bound to lateral thinking. We're bound to our problem-solving skills, using the tools that we have at our disposal. When you make a game that is balanced such that you shouldn't even do this because the numbers are so skewed against your favor that not only can you not really fight it, you probably can't even run away from it either. It's probably got incredibly fast movement speed. It probably has multiple modes of transportation. It's going to be incredibly difficult to do that. But it also leads to things like, well, nobody's going to think to try to trap it. Nobody's going to think to, maybe someone will think to try to bargain with it, assuming it is a dragon and it's intelligent. There's just lots of things that don't happen in these games because they are set up for you to win combat, or at least to have a chance to win combat. They aren't set up for you to explore all of the other aspects of a tabletop RPG. diplomacy with a character you really don't agree with, but has you under duress. Maybe this dragon doesn't even want to kill and eat you. Maybe it wants to take you prisoner. Maybe it wants to take you in as worshippers or slaves in a mine for its horde. Maybe there's environmental things around that you could use to try and disable it long enough for you to get away and get to someone who can, or something that can kill it. Maybe an ancient dwarven architect left some advanced ballista or something like that you could use to shoot it. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Balance is so rarely interesting. What's balance? I swing my sword. 50% chance to hit. Oh, I hit. He bites me. 50% chance to hit. Oh, he hits. Coin flipping? Coin flipping is interesting? No. That's not to me anyways. Instantly dying on the other end of the scale because you're underleveled or the enemy is way overleveled. Also not that interesting. If it happens occasionally so that you're trying to set, you're kind of trying to telegraph, like, oh, that's the power level, or it's the first encounter, and you as a GM just don't really know yet, you can send something out that you think is going to be not that much of a threat, and then it ends up being a big threat. Okay, well, now you have that adjustment to make there, right? And that's the power of the GM, your power to telegraph and your power to adjust. I'm going to bring up Oblivion now, it's got its remaster, as this problem with the level treadmill, where every time you level up, oh, you're level 7 now? Well, you're not seeing any level 2 enemies anymore. They just all disappeared. What? What do you mean? The random peasant that I decided to attack has to be level 3 or it's an unbalanced encounter now? What? The wolves that were filling this forest literally a week ago are just all gone, that we can't possibly encounter them on a random encounter table because it would be unbalanced? The world just starts to fall apart. And a lot of it is from this level gating goofy mechanic. Pathfinder 1st Edition had some level gated stuff. It had things like, oh, you can't put more than your level in ranks in a skill, but that skill could get to an insanely high number nonetheless. That was just sort of to represent that you only had so much time of the day. In this, you have no more ranks. You are either untrained, trained, expert, as I can't remember, the master, and so on, in your various skill proficiencies. The problem is, this takes away a lot of the player choice, and it takes away a lot of the feeling of specialization. A melee fighter can't really feel good at fighting in this game unless somebody else helps them, like a bard helps them by debuffing. A wizard can't really feel like an all-powerful resource monster that just waves a hand over a crowd and then causes them to fall asleep and then whispers to their party, okay, don't be too impressed, I can only do that about 3 more times and we've got to get out of here. Because he needs somebody to lower their saves. There's so much where they, instead of relying on good faith of the players playing a cooperative game, wanting to build a party that works together, are forcing you to work together. They've made characters and classes that simply cannot function alone, barring some serious luck of the dice, and then they've removed a lot of the luck of the dice with the new crit system. Is it balanced? Yeah. Is it fun, though, to sit there and go, oh no, you can't take an attack of opportunity, you're not a fighter, or you didn't take the feat that lets you do what the fighter can do. So it's like, so you just have to sit there and watch this guy start waving his hands and, doing Naruto jutsus in front of your face because you're a totally incompetent pile of nonsense. There's just things about the world, things that logically you should be able to do. And that's not to mention the insane hoop jumping and rereading of crunch that you'll have to do to understand this game. Fear levels. Okay, you can be frightened 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. What frightened 4? God, video games don't even use this terminology a lot of the time. Oh, I'm frightened 4. Would you ever say that? It's such inelegant, inorganic language that just it doesn't role play well. It's so difficult to have an organic situation like that. I won't go into all of the feats and whatnot and the 9 million. Here's a feat to make you a bit better at jumping. Okay, cool. Here's a feat that wins a combat encounter. Well, I know which one I'll take. They do address that by specifically giving you skill feats there. But which are you gonna take? The one that makes you a little better at jumping, or the one that makes you a little better at for knowledge checks that let you know that this monster you've never seen before is immune to fire, right? There's still that incongruence there, even with the obsession with balance. Is it going to be more fun in Pathfinder First Edition to have your litany of spells as your oracle, and then but he can also heal us afterwards? Whoa, that's kind of overpowered, isn't it? Well, it can be, but guess what? The guy that's really powerful is the guy that's going to get targeted more, and he doesn't have as much health as anyone else. So the incongruence between party members, but the differences between them, forces them to work together in that way, unless they just don't care about that guy and they just are ready to have him die. It's not unlike actual military tactics where you have a soft target that you need to escort to an area who's super important. It's like, what the hell? This guy's super overpowered. This plane's carrying a nuke. What the hell? Why don't we get a nuke? Doesn't that sound ridiculous? Doesn't it sound silly if you're like, well, we should just make every plane carry a nuke? No, you just have it to where some things are good at. They're specialists. They're very, very good at doing one job, but getting them from point A to point B is a difficulty. Because if everybody knows you're really, really good at that one thing, you're going to attract a lot of flack. When everyone's kind of good at everything, you end up with this real meat grinder issue too, where, not everyone's good at everything, but when everyone's needed for one person to succeed, you end up with this meat grinder issue where one piece falls out. Oh, the healer's dead. And then, boom, boom, everyone else dies immediately. Because they wanted to make healing better, so a lot of the times playing a cleric feels like being a heal bot, where you're just sitting here and it's like, oh, he lost 60 health, I'm pump 60 health back into him. Oh, he lost 60 health, I'm gonna pump 60 health back into him. And you realize that a lot of these become illusion of choice. There's the illusion that you can take 3 attacks in a turn. Oh, you have 3 actions. Oh, we got rid of base attack bonus. Now you can just take a -5 to hit and swing again. And then you can take a -10 to hit and then swing again. But you would never do that. You would never do that at level 1 because you'll almost always crit fail. You would never do it at level 2 because you'll almost always crit fail. So you look through, you go, oh, I could attack a 3rd time, but it's pointless for me to do so. It's almost actively dangerous for me to do so. And I'm not just metagaming here. My character would know. He's a fighter. He would know how likely he is to hit this guy. He would know that that's a stupid attack to make. So I'm not going to do that. Well, I could try to trip him. Is trip an athletics roll? It is an athletics roll. So I could do that. Yeah, let's do that instead. And you end up with the illusion of choice because we're going to let you attack this many times and we're going to make it really bad for you to attack this many times because it's got to be balanced. You can't just shred this guy. You can't just walk up, go shing, shing, and then, he falls down dead because why not? I'm going to end the video right there. Why not? This Saturday, I had a group of level 19 players going through Wrath of the Righteous. Level 19 player characters, rather. Going through Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, first edition. And they're not mythic at all. And the book specifically tells you, hey, if you're not mythic, this is going to be pretty tricky. So they end up fighting the first thing, like one of the first big encounters. Doesn't happen exactly as it goes because nothing should go exactly as a book tells you unless you just get really, really lucky. They end up fighting a Merilith demon. It goes last. They sneak up on it and just cut it to shreds and blast it with a ray of searing light. It keels over, and that's all she wrote. What was the balance there? Well, they fought her right over a cliff, so they didn't get all of the items that she, dropped 2 of her swords as she fell over the cliff. The barbarian grabs her by the tail and then pulls her up, yanks a few of the items off of her. And that was cool, man. It set the tone. It set the tone as, oh, this isn't survival horror so much. This is Doom. These guys are here to kick demon ass. What's wrong with that? Oh no, a TPK happened. Well, did you have fun doing it? Were your players allowed to take actions, make choices of their own free will that changed the situation as it was going down? Or was it just rocks fall, everyone dies? If it was rocks fall, everyone dies, yeah, there's a big balance issue in your game. Probably from the ground up. Probably from the mechanical level. But otherwise, TPK, who cares? Could be super interesting. Play as ghosts now. I don't know. Play a new game. Yeah. Anyways, that's my thoughts. I probably won't be doing any more on Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I'd like to do something on feats for Pathfinder 1st Edition and feats in games in general. Lots of games use them or something similar, like Shadowrun 5th Edition, 6th Edition, I think 4th Edition if I remember correctly. But yeah, that'll be it for now. Let me know what you think. I'm not a fan of this game at all. End review. If you wanna, I guess you can play it, but it's not really less crunchy than Pathfinder 1st Edition. And what it does streamline, there are 5 other areas that it makes messier. There are 5 other new rules that you're going to have to rememorize if you're an old Pathfinder player. And I don't think they particularly add to a compelling experience. There you go. Just my opinion. Thank you guys for watching as always. I'll see you next time.